Okay,
But
well, I see where
I've
this is
heard your
going.
arguments.
So there will be no further arguments because I see that you're not going to agree to.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is David Heiss. I'm an attorney magistrate. We are scheduled for an informal hearing in two different cases that arise out of one citation. And those
Correct.
two cases are both entitled The People of the City of Battle Creek versus Roosevelt LaShawn Williams. Is that your name, sir?
That is my name.
Uh, Basically, what happens is you were issued one citation. It had two violations listed on it. So it became two different cases, one with an A and one with a B at the end. But we have one informal hearing scheduled for both of those cases because they both arise out of the same transaction, so to speak. I guess, Officer Kellums, is there anything before I begin?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Williams, uh, you're here because you were issued a citation. And in each of those two cases, so for each of those violations, you have three possible responses to the citation. You can first admit responsibility, be assessed the fines and costs, and be done with it. You could, as a second option, admit responsibility with an explanation, hoping that the explanation would cause the court to decrease the fines and costs a little bit. Or you can deny responsibility and have your hearing.
All right, everyone, buckle up because today we're diving into a courtroom showdown that's equal parts legal drama and wild sovereign citizen claims. On one side, we have Mr. Roosevelt Williams, facing two citations, one for expired registration, one for not providing proof of insurance. On the other side, the Battle Creek Court, with Magistrate David Hayes presiding, trying to navigate the twists and turns of legal arguments that range from standard civil procedure to, let's just say, interpretations of U.S. Supreme Court rulings that are, shall we say, unconventional. Stick around because as Mr. Williams makes his case, citing cases that sound impressive but may not quite exist, we're going to see how the court handles claims of rights to travel versus state law, and the moments get tense, confusing, and yes, a little bit bizarre. By the end of this, you'll be questioning what counts as a legal argument versus a legal circus.
My understanding that as to both cases, you wished to deny responsibility. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, here's how the hearing works. First of all, I guess I should read the citation. In the case ending with the letter A, it's alleged that back on November 19th of 2024, you were over at Fountain Street near Meacham Avenue in the city of Battle Creek, and you were issued a citation for not being able to provide a proof of insurance. This is a civil infraction. If you were found responsible, all other things being equal, the court would assess $125 fines, costs, and fees. It is a 0-point ticket. And in the second case that ends with the letter B, that same date, time, and place, you were issued a citation for having an expired registration plate. That is also a civil infraction. It is also a 0-point civil infraction. If you were found responsible, all other things being equal, the court would assess $110 fines, costs, and fees. So first question, is that the ticket or the two cases that you thought you were appearing about, Mr. Williams?
It is.
Okay. And same question to you, Officer Kellums?
Yes, sir.
Very good. In every civil case, the plaintiff has the burden of proof. And in a case like this, that burden of proof is called by a preponderance of evidence.
Only question I have is, will the laws of the U.S. Supreme Court be applicable, and the federal statutes and definitions of motor vehicle and automobile be applicable in this proceeding?
They are the state of Michigan laws that will be applicable.
Okay. The other question is, are you already not bound by U.S. Supreme Court rulings?
Every court is bound by.
Here's where things get interesting. We've got a classic scenario. Mr. Williams denies responsibility for both citations. Now, most people in this situation might admit, explain, or simply contest politely, but not Mr. Williams. Instead, he's preparing to challenge the law itself, citing obscure rulings and questioning the entire framework of motor vehicle statutes. The judge has to lay out the basics clearly. This is a civil infraction, not a criminal case, and the fines are straightforward. But the tension is building because we can already see that this isn't going to be a normal courtroom exchange. It's about to turn into a full-on debate over constitutional interpretations and sovereign citizen beliefs.
All
I'm
right.
not quite sure. I'm not sure why you're asking that, but that's okay. All right. So if you would both raise your right hands. Very good. All right, Officer Kellums, if you would begin, please.
So on November 19th, 2024, I was on patrol for the Battle Creek Police Department when I observed the vehicle that Mr. Roosevelt was driving. I observed that it had expired tags on the vehicle. I then conducted a traffic stop on Fountain Street near Meacham Ave. Found Mr. Williams to be driving the vehicle, where I issued him the citations. When speaking with Mr. Williams, he could not provide insurance, and his tags were expired.
Okay. Do you happen to know when they expired?
I do not off the top of my head, sir.
Okay. What made you think they were expired? The wrong color and the wrong year on the plate itself, or some other
Yes,
thing?
sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Did Mr. Williams say anything to you during the stop about having insurance or not having insurance, or anything about the tags on the plates, anything like that?
He informed me that he did not have to have insurance due to that he was traveling, and to drive a vehicle, you don't have to have insurance. Something regarding the Supreme Court. That's about all he said.
Okay. All right. Do you want me to consider anything else at this point, Officer Kellums?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Williams, could you hear Officer Kellums' testimony?
Yes, I heard his testimony.
Very good. Thank you for your patience. What do I need to know, sir?
Okay, I did inform Officer Kelly that I am not operating a motor vehicle, but I am operating an automobile. I did inform Officer Kelly of the ruling of Rodriguez v. Ray Donovan, U.S. Department of Labor, 769 Federal 2nd, 1344, where the U.S. Supreme Court's decision has ruled that all codes, rules, and regulations are for government authorities only and not for human creators. In accordance with God laws, all codes, rules, and regulations are unconstitutional and lacking due process.
All right, I'm going to interrupt you just for a second. Are you telling me that a case at 769 Fed 2nd, 1344 indicates that all laws are unconstitutional?
All codes, rules, and regulations. Yes, sir. Rodriguez v. Ray Donovan. And if I'm not mistaken,
and you said that was Department of what?
U.S. Department of Labor.
Okay, U.S. Department of Labor doesn't publish decisions in the Fed 2nd. Can you tell me a little bit more about the case? What was at issue in the case?
Officer Kellums' testimony is critical here. He's laying out the facts: expired tags, no insurance, standard procedure. But listen closely to Mr. Williams' reaction. He immediately introduces a sovereign citizen angle, claiming he doesn't have to follow these laws because of Supreme Court rulings. This is a classic clash: the clear, documented law versus a defendant interpreting the law through a personal, often convoluted lens. For viewers, it's fascinating because you're seeing the moment where normal legal procedure collides with creative, yet legally shaky, interpretations of the law. And the drama is only getting started.
It was regarding what we're discussing here, the requirements of a driver's license and the need when it's required to have one, stating that when you're not operating in commerce, to which I informed the officer that I am not operating in commerce as stated in USC 18 USCA 31 paragraph A6, states that a motor vehicle, the term of motor vehicle meaning every description of carriage, conveyance, propelled or drawn or mechanical powered and used for commercial purposes. This is what Title 18 USCA Section 31A6 states or defines as a motor vehicle, to which I am not operating in commerce. I'm not using...
For the purposes of that particular chapter of the United States Code, it would not control what happens in terms of the Michigan legislature defining in Chapter 257 what a motor vehicle is, and an automobile under Michigan law is a motor vehicle. But okay, continue.
It's a motor vehicle, which is described as anything, even by the Michigan compliance statute of 751, which you just stated, is determined as something that's transporting goods, which I'm not transporting goods.
I understand your position, and I can tell you that that position doesn't happen to be legally correct. But go ahead.
So you're basically stating that there's a misinterpretation of what's in black and white.
No, I'm telling you that you have misinterpreted the application of 18 USC 31A6 and 769 F second or Fed second 1344.
Okay,
But
well, I see where
I've
this
heard
is
your
going.
argument.
So there will be no further arguments because I see that you're not going to agree to. Because, like I said, when I've given it to you, the cases where they're like Shapiro v. Thompson, where the U.S. Supreme Court has said that this a driver license is not a requirement, that this is you're trying to convert a right into a privilege, to which is covered by Article 1, Section 8, to which
I'll ask you this: is that right? The right to travel?
that is a right to travel, convey, however you want it, by the U.S. Constitution.
What you just told me was that somehow but regardless, am trying to convert a right into a privilege. Now, the question I have for you is, what right has been converted to?
Now, pay attention. This is where Mr. Williams goes full sovereign citizen mode. He claims that because he isn't operating commerce, Michigan motor vehicle laws don't apply to him. He even cites a U.S. Department of Labor case that doesn't actually exist in the Federal Reporter. For viewers, this is a goldmine moment. You see the reasoning that seems logical to the speaker but doesn't hold up legally. The judge is calm, professional, and patient, explaining why state laws still apply regardless of these creative interpretations. It's a fascinating study in legal reasoning versus personal belief, and you can see why these cases often become viral courtroom content. The drama practically writes itself.
Are documents that have been scanned into the court that you dropped off.
Okay.
So from those documents, why don't you tell me the proper citation for Shuttle versus Birmingham?
Okay, traffic infractions are not crimes, blah, 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 person faced with, okay.
Right. Traffic infractions are not crimes. That's absolutely correct. They are civil infractions for a reason.
I was reading from a different case, but the case that I'm citing from states that no license necessary to drive an automobile on public highways, streets, no license is necessary. The word operator should not include any person who solely transport his own property and who transport no persons or property for hire or
Where's that citation from?
Okay, I just appeal it, and that way I can make sure all citations are.
That's fine. I mean, the idea is I can't look up what you're telling me, right, without a proper citation. So you can read. I mean, for all I know, and I don't mean this, I'm using a farcical example. For all I know, you're quoting the municipal court in Honolulu, Hawaii, which has no jurisdiction over Michigan.
It's understandable.
I don't know.
So I would cite Payne v. Massey, 196 Southwest 2nd, 493, Texas, 273.
Okay. Well, and I can tell you that Texas law, a court interpreting Texas law, that decision wouldn't be controlling on a Michigan court. But that's fine. I think I understand where you're going. If you want, I don't need to consider anything else. I'm just asking you, is there anything else you want to present to me?
If you're not going to consider anything else, then we can proceed on to your ruling, of which I know you're going to find. So, and like you said, I have a right to appeal it. So
yeah, and I'm willing to listen. If you're going to quote something, I need to know what you're quoting, and I need a proper citation so I can look it up myself, right? Because otherwise people could just run around quoting Mickey Mouse if they wanted.
Right. Okay. So
nothing against you. So the question to you is, what else do you want me to consider at this point that you haven't yet told me?
Okay. Zobel v. Williams, 457 U.S. 55.
And why are you citing that case? What is it telling me?
Because it states that,
Here, the judge steps in and brings clarity to what can feel like an overwhelming maze of citations. The key takeaway: the right to travel exists, but it doesn't mean you can ignore vehicle registration or insurance laws. The court is essentially drawing a line. Yes, you have a constitutional right to move freely, but no, that right doesn't override state regulations for using motor vehicles. This distinction is crucial because it highlights the difference between a personal interpretation of the Constitution and actual enforceable law. For viewers, it's a teaching moment wrapped in courtroom tension.
See the above, blah, blah, blah. To travel unencumbered and fettered on common public way or highway, which is their right to so do.
Absolutely.
Held that the right to travel is constitutional protected.
Yes, it is.
So it don't.
Anything
it
else you want me to consider?
No, sir. No, sir. Nope. Nope. No. No. No.
Okay. I have no problem telling you have the right to travel. I have no problem telling you have the constitutional right to travel. All citizens do. No doubt about that.
One question. Is there a difference between a motor vehicle and an automobile? Is there a difference?
Yes. All automobiles are motor vehicles, but not all motor vehicles are automobiles.
Okay, so is my automobile not my private, personal automobile that's not being used in commerce?
I would have no idea the use of your motor vehicle, and it's not relevant to me for the purposes of deciding whether you're responsible for these civil infractions.
Okay. Well, I have nothing else for you to consider.
Well, very good. I'm letting you know the law does not make a distinction between your using the vehicle for personal reasons or you're using the vehicle for commercial reasons when your registration plate is expired and when you fail to show proof of insurance. Both of those are required.
The MCL language.
Both of those are required under Michigan law for anyone operating any motor vehicle. That's what I can tell you. So
correct. If you're a motor vehicle, to which I am not operating a motor vehicle, and this is what we are trying to circumvent.
Yeah,
I am operating my automobile, not a motor vehicle.
I can tell you that an automobile is considered a motor vehicle under the Michigan Motor Vehicle Code. So that's fine. Is there anything else you want me to consider?
Nope.
Very good. All right. So I've listened very carefully to the evidence. I do find that it's more likely than not that when you were required to by Officer Kellums at a traffic stop show proof that your vehicle was insured, that you failed to do so, and that it is more likely that your not your operator's license, the registration plates on the vehicle were expired. So I'm going to assess the $125 on the no proof of insurance case and the $110 on the expired plates case. What I'll do is I'll type up 2 judgments. I'll be sending them out to you. I believe we have your current address, but I'm going to confirm that the address that you want things sent to, Benton Harbor 49022. Is that correct?
That is the address. I don't know where the other address is coming from, but that is my address.
Well, I don't know what other address you're speaking of, but that's the address the court now has for you. So both of those judgments, I'll go out in the mail on Monday. And so it'll take, a couple days to get to you or whatever, but you should have copies of them. Certainly, I would say by the end of next week. If you don't, you can always come to the court and obtain a different copy, or you can call the court, and if they have to, they can try to email one to you, but they'll go out in the mail on Monday. And what I'll do is I will put February 14th